What is going on, guys? I hope you're having a blessed day today. So, if you're watching this video, presumably you are within the ages of like 21 to 20, I don't know, 3, 4, and you're thinking about joining the Navy or any branch of military, right? But I joined the Navy, but obviously there's going to be some similarities throughout the whole thing. And you're worried, you're concerned about being old there, or whatever the fuck may come with it, right? So I wanted to make this video to address that kind of shit because I feel like I have kind of a unique perspective going in. Obviously a lot of people you're gonna be around are either like 18 or 19 or like 30 literally. So yeah, I seen a bunch of TikToks of people like, oh, I'm so worried I'm enlisting at 23 or whatever, right? So I wanted to sit down and make a video because I feel like I have a unique perspective on things. I feel like I get to see it, from a lot of different angles, especially more so being that I'm not like a major, loner or whatever. Like, I interact with a lot of people. I have friends who are younger than me. I have friends who are older than me. I hang out with my friends that are younger than me, and I hang out with my friends that are older than me. I hang out with both at the same time. So I feel like I'd be able to give you like a well-rounded telling of my experience, I guess, and what you should expect going into it. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I was going into it, I was 21, right? Obviously, I'm like still low-key a jit, but I'm still like that adult age. So going into it, I was worried. I was like, dude, am I gonna be able to make friends? Are people gonna like me? Are people gonna think I'm weird? Is it gonna be weird? Am I gonna hate it or whatever? And it ended up being alright. So I thought I would come on here and hopefully put some people's minds at ease. So I think where I'm gonna start is I'm gonna tell you my story and why it came to the point of enlisting, right? To hopefully relate to some people. I know I'm gonna relate to a lot of people on this one. But so I graduated high school in 2021, right? I graduated in a COVID mask. And I took a gap year, right? I took a gap year and I traveled and I was in a relationship. So now it's 2022, right? So I was like, okay, it's time to do something, right? I was working as a cook. I was 19, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try the college thing, right? I was going to college for audio engineering, which is one of my passions, or was, I guess. I don't know. So I'm doing the college thing, and I had everything set up. After the semester, I was gonna transfer to Middle Tennessee State University, which is one of the best, if not the best, school for audio engineering in the United States. I know Tay Keith. If y'all know Tay Keith, he went there. Tay Keith, whatever. You know how the tag goes. And I was like, I had a big realization. I was like, I hate school. I hate my life in school. I don't think I want to pursue this, because I just hated it. I didn't want it. Like, even though it was one of my passions, it kind of took the passion out of it. Like, I love music and everything relating music, but like going to school for it, and like, I don't know, I didn't want to like have a job surrounded it. So I just stopped going to school after like a year. Didn't even make it to Middle Tennessee State University. And yeah, I just kind of stopped, and I was like, I'm gonna do the blue collar thing. I'm gonna try the blue collar path, right? So now it's 2023, right? I'm doing the blue collar thing, and I'd grown up around it, right? Like, I grew up with illegal immigrant parents, and that's all they did, right? So I know my first job, like when I was 14, I was like doing framing and crap like that, and it was good money, right? And so yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to do this, right? And I knew there was money in blue collar work, right? Like, I grew up seeing people on the job sites or whatever, and they pull up in these nice trucks and they're like, I'm self-made, I started a business, this, that, and this. And I'm like, yeah, like, I like the work, I like the schedule, I like being outside, I like all that, right? So I was like, yeah, like, this is, I could do this, I want to do this, I like the people, I like, I just liked it, right? So I was working as a residential a residential electric apprentice, right? I did that for about a year. And then, just like many of y'all, I think just being stuck in my hometown and being around all the same people and friends, right, really got to me. Being like still the youngest guy at that place, and just, waking up every day and doing that kind of thing. I was like, bro, like, I'm young. Like, I'm not supposed to be fucking in the field like this, just fucking, work, like, fucking dying for this shit, right? Whatever, right? So basically, I quit that job, right? And around this time, so it's like 2023 coming on 2024, right? And then, so basically around this time, essentially, I had like accidentally became a loser, you feel me? Like, I had took a gap year. I quit going to school. I quit the residential electrician thing. Like, I always knew I always just knew I was gonna do like some kind of blue collar work, right? I guess at the time I didn't realize like, oh, things take time to make the big bucks, But yeah, I was just kind of bouncing around. Meanwhile, everyone's joining the military. Everybody else is in school for something or whatever. So fucking yeah, I guess like looking back now, I understand, right? That like it didn't really look the best that I was just kind of quitting everything I was doing, right? Even though I was pursuing my happiness and like trying to find where I wanted to end up and which route was going to be the best for me. All that to say that my girlfriend ended up, my girlfriend of like 4.5 years ended up cheating on me. And yeah, just because like I don't know, I'm more mature about it now. Like I was really torn up about it then, but like I just looked really bad in everybody's eyes, right? I lost all my friends. Everybody stopped talking to me. I looked really bad. My girlfriend did me really bad. I actually got kind of slimed out, right? So my girlfriend broke up with me in a really bad way, right? It was terrible. I was distraught. And then my best friend starts dating her best friend, right? So I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is kind of just weird, whatever, right? He didn't give a fuck, whatever. So yeah, and then I was alone. I was very alone for a period of time. After that, around 2024, I would say all of 2024 to like, yeah, because the breakup happened in December of 2023. And all of 2024, I was just kind of all alone. And I moved out of my hometown about 15 minutes, across the river north. So nobody was there, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, Basically, I was all alone in a new city, pretty much. I'm not going to tell y'all where, because hell no. But yeah, I was living with my brother, and I was just working, and I was all alone. Like, I can't stress that enough. And I got so depressed about it. Like, I got so depressed, mainly being alone. And I'm 21 at this time, so this is really my first time really being, all by myself, alone with my own thoughts, all that jazz, right? For the first time, like, ever. Because I was dating this girl since I was a junior or whatever, like a junior in high school, pretty much. So yeah, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, it's time to figure something out, right? I was like, my life fucking sucks. I fucking wake up and go to a job that I fucking hate every fucking day, and I'm all alone, and I fucking hate this, and I just hated everything, right? Hated everything, hated life. I, at one point, thought about, you know what I'm saying? So, I had a realization. I was like, oh, you have to kind of stick to something or whatever, because when I was working blue collar or whatever, I was just tired of being broke. Basically, I was fucking broke. I was like, I fucking hate this shit. I'm working so much and I don't make any fucking money. I didn't understand that you had to stick with it. Whatever, not the point. So I was like, oh, you have to stick with something, whatever. And I had the realization at the same time, like, nobody's coming to save me. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure something out and I'm gonna stick to it. And I was like, what do I like? I was like, well, I like cars and I like blue collar work and I like fixing things. I was like, I'm gonna be a mechanic, right? So it was like, it was like a big, whatever realization. I was like, I'm gonna be a mechanic and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make a business and I'm gonna be successful and I'm gonna be successful for myself. I always knew I was gonna be successful. I just didn't know how, you know what I mean? And it just looked bad in everybody else's eyes. Basically, fuck them, because nobody understands your path but you. Feel me? You feel what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I understand my path. I know I'm gonna be a winner. Basically, let's do this, right? And I was thinking, you know what? I'm young. I'm super young. At the same time, I was starting to understand the cost of everything. And I was like, I want to travel. I want to fucking travel at the same time, right? I was figuring out what to do, right? I was like, how do I travel? How do I work hard? How do I, do something worthwhile and meaningful? And, all that jazz in between at the same time, right? And then I started thinking into the Navy. Oh, dun dun dun, right? I was like, hell yeah, it'll be a chance for me to make a comeback, right? Everybody in my life, except for my older brother. Shout out to my fucking older brother. He always fucking, saw the real me. But yeah, at this point in my life, everybody was fucking treating me like shit. Everybody thought I was fucking lazy. Everybody thought I was fucking whatever, right? And it was all weighing on me. And it was just like, it seemed like, fucking one big ass shake back, right? And I was like, yes, 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 yes. Especially me, being me, when I joined, I was like the last person that anybody thought would ever join the military. And I was the guy that was like, fuck, I'm not working for whatever, right? So, yeah, I didn't tell anybody when I had the idea to enlist. I started doing my own research. I started, looking into jobs, mechanical jobs, yada, yada, yada. I started talking to recruiters, and just basically got the whole ball rolling from there. So I'm not going to tell y'all too much about, like, where exactly I ended up, but I think it's also notable to say that I did not go normal Navy, right? I ended up going submarines. So yeah, we're at the point I told y'all the entire story leading up, pretty much, so now I'm 21, right? And it's 2024. I shipped out late 2024. Yep. Got through maps, went through the whole thing. I'm not gonna go too much into detail about that because there's a fucking million videos about that, right? So the time comes for me to ship out to boot camp. I start packing up my shit. Start saying bye to my family, all that kind of stuff. Start telling people, whatever. So when you get there, you're like sitting in a big ass room full of everyone, and everyone's scared and shit, right? And they're just screaming at you. And you get put into your division. I actually got put into a 900 division, which is a performance division. I think we were like Trident or some shit like that, which basically means like, so whenever people graduate from boot camp, there's like other recruits there performing, like directing the crowd. Some play instruments, some rifle flip, some do like really intensive rifle flipping. I ended up being in the honor guard, which is basically like, we just do some little stupid fucking rifle flipping. And it's not cool. It's not the cool one. There's another division who does like really cool rifle flipping, and there's like divisions who hold flags or whatever, right? If you watch a video of a boot camp graduation, you'll see exactly what I mean. Like, there's a group that does an insane fucking rifle flipping, entendre, and then there's one group that just like does a little thing and then walks off. That was me. So I graduate late December, go on Liberty, and then I get placed into what's called FFG, which is like holding in between boot camp to your A school. All submariners go to Groton, Connecticut first, right? So that was my experience. But, there's people from surface Navy going to Florida, Georgia, etc., etc. I will say FFG was a madhouse. It's like, so you're in like the boot camp side of the base, but you guys have your own like little area. Like, there was literally recruits standing watch on the first floor, right? But you're not a recruit anymore technically, so like you're allowed to like have a gaming PC up there. There was people in there vaping, there's people in there drinking, all the above. I think even after I left, it was like a whole thing that there was a huge drug bust in FFG. Like, somebody had cocaine in there. Obviously none of that shit's allowed, so it was pretty down low. But yeah, so I was there waiting for, I had asthma, and that's technically disqualifying for submarines. So I was waiting on an asthma test to see if my lungs were, able enough to handle being on a submarine, whatever. Basically, I ended up being fine. So I'm basically just waking up, doing nothing, waiting for I had a medical appointment where I went and did the test, and I was just waiting for the results. And I think I was in there for like almost a month. but you can't, like, you don't have complete freedom. Like, you have to be back by like 8 p.m., right? And you can only leave in uniform, shit like that. So you only had like really 4 hours of freedom. So they had like a list that they would update, of people who were leaving and when. So my list got updated and my name was on it. I think I was leaving like the next morning or whatever. So they got everybody together who was leaving, got us our orders, our plane tickets, and everything like that. Packed all my stuff up that night, and they had us waiting in like the lobby of the barracks. A bus came and got us, took it to the airport, and I ended up in Groton, Connecticut, which is, like I said, where all submariners go. And I go to Groton. I go through BESS, which is Basic Enlisted Submarine School. Super easy. Like, you literally have to try to fail BESS. Like, there's 2 tests. I think it's like around 6 to 8 weeks long. Like, I was a C student in high school. I got a 2.3 GPA, and I passed with like a 96 on the first test and like an 88 on the second. And I was like studying every night. But even then, it's impossible to fail, right? You also do some like real life like training and stuff like that, like firefighting. There's a whole video, like a mini documentary on it, on YouTube. So I graduate BESS, and then I was waiting on like a background check. So I was in ACU after BESS. They put me in like a holding where you have to go and do roll call every day at like 7:30, I think it was. And ACU stands for awaiting class up, and it's all people in there who just graduated BESS and they're waiting for something like a medical waiver or a security clearance or something like that to start their A school, which is like their actual school for their job, right? I was in there for like 2.5 months, and it was hell because we literally do nothing, and they like treat it like a punishment. Like, if you're talking, you're standing at attention for like 30 minutes, or they'll release you to clean, or just, it's stupid. It's terrible. Mind you, this is like every day for like 2 months, so I'm pretty much just like doing nothing. So yeah. So then I go to my A school for my job. We're learning about X, Y, and Z. Super easy. I didn't have to like really study at all because our instructor was like really chill and just kind of gave us all the answers. Because like with my job, you learn everything on your boat, right? Yada yada yada. Get my orders. Now I am where I am, assigned to my boat, and I just go and study till I qualify my warfare device, which is what I told you guys about, and I'm like working along the way, right? So in the grand scheme of things, right, being 21 did not affect me that much, right? You are a little more mature, and what I mean by that is like a lot of being in like boot camp and A school or whatever, and like being mature, what I mean by is like a lot of people, like a lot of the younger people tend to be more focused on drinking and partying and getting involved in drama and all that kind of stuff, and they tend to spend their money more, like if you lived on your own prior to the Navy, like you understand the cost of everything. Like, you have no bills, so it's really easy to spend money. Like, I heard of people who spent all their bonus and have no money and are living off loans. Like, you hear about stuff like that. I wasn't really like too into drinking a lot and everything because, one, I did plenty of that when I was like 17, 18, 19, even 16. So I wasn't really interested in drinking with a bunch of 19-year-olds, especially when you consider that they're not the legal age to buy alcohol, and they will try to like use you or like keep you around just for you to supply alcohol, right? So in moderation, it's cool or whatever, especially too since the Navy takes like providing alcohol to minors and stuff super seriously. So I didn't want to like get involved or hemmed up in any of that because I'm focused. Like, I know what I want to do with my future, and I just I didn't want to jeopardize that still even then. So yeah, just proceed with caution. So basically, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, being 21, 22 does not affect me that much. You could still make friends. You'll make a lot of friends. Especially cool thing is living in the barracks. So like, you'll see people that you met from BESS, or there's some people there from boot camp. There's some people in your class or like people that you just interact with, right? You're around young people or just people in general like all day, right? You don't leave the base. Um, so you'll just see a bunch of friends everywhere. You'll be like, oh, let's go to the galley, right? Which is like the food hall where you go eat. And then you'd be like, oh, let's go to the gym. Let's go do this. Let's go get food, right? And you're just basically around people that you know all day, every day, right? It's kind of cool. And that was like one of the main things I was concerned about because, like I told you guys, I went through a really bad breakup, and it was at the point where like my friend group was intertwined with her friend group. So essentially, I lost all my friends. So I was like, I want to come here and hopefully, meet some new people or whatever. And you'll make friends for life. And it's kind of sad too because like at the end of my A school, when it was time for us to go our separate ways and be in the fleet or whatever, like you separate from these people and you made a lot of memories with them, right? Like it's sad. It's sad, right? And especially being like once you like have your little group of friends or whatever, it's even harder because you're in like such a routine, right? Like you wake up, you go to class with them, and then you go eat lunch with them, and then there's like a Liberty Center where they have like PlayStations and games and like a movie theater and stuff. So like we would go eat lunch and then we would go watch a movie and then we'd go back to class, and then like on the weekends we'd be like, oh, are we drinking? Are we going to the aquarium or whatever? Like it was, you get in such a routine with these people. So yeah, it was kind of sad leaving everybody, and especially so since like I was in a tough place before I joined the Navy. I was actually almost homeless too. That's like a whole different thing. But yeah, I was super grateful every day for every moment that I got to be around these people and this environment and like doing all these cool things with people and looking at diesel engines and having these fun experiences with these people. The ups and downs every day, you go through it with them. So yeah, I think another notable thing too is like you should not I do not advise like hooking up with or like dating girls in the military because a lot of them like just kind of get off on like screwing people over and like reporting people. I actually had kind of an experience myself with like basically a crazy girl who whatever, like tried to say some things weren't true. Like that's super common. There was actually a girl there who her nickname was, her last name, we'll just say Lindsay, right? Her name was Lindsay 9 because she had opened 9 like sexual assault reports on different guys throughout base, right? And it was like at a point where it was like, just stay away from her, guy, like that whole thing. So in summary, I guess I would say yes, if you are like 21 to 24 whatever, I think you should enlist if you're thinking about it, right? Because like for me, it gives me a chance to not having any bills, save a bunch of money as long as you're responsible, because you have no bills, so it's easy to spend money, right? I still have my hiccups sometimes, but yeah, it gives you opportunity to save your money and come out with a bunch of qualifications, a bunch of licenses. And if you want to get out in the future, you'll be much more better off than a lot of people who did not enlist. And even then, like I will say, like if you get through it, right, and you like don't like it, there are ways for you to separate with like no repercussion or whatever, like that having a dishonorable discharge would bring, right? So there's ways. Essentially you have nothing to lose, right? But I will say, like if you get to that point, make sure that you come out with some kind of license or certification that'll help you get a job in the civilian world, like end up in a better place, right? You don't want to come out with absolutely nothing, right? That's what a lot of people say is like, make sure that you pick a job that transfers over to civilian life, right? Don't just go in and be like, I don't want to bash like a Navy cook or whatever, right? But like, what are you really gonna do with that after you get out of the Navy, right? There's not much you can do, like as opposed to being like an aircraft mechanic with like, let's say you're an aircraft mechanic and like you start taking college classes, which the Navy will pay for, in like management or something, right? So now you have like Navy mechanic aircraft experience with like management degree, right? You can end up like being a manager for Boeing or something, right? As opposed to like if you just do some rate that does your rate or job, it doesn't really matter, right? So just kind of think about it like that. But yeah, I think that pretty much covered it all. Just be responsible, make sure you know what you're doing going in. And yeah, stay motivated, stay focused. But yeah, I hope you guys gain something from this, because I think like being a little older, we get kind of a different experience, right? Kind of being in that middle age. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Good luck. Good luck to all of you. And yeah, God bless you. Have a great rest of your day.